100 other things.
What?
Oh, yay!
Should be my expectations.
Oh,
He didn't think you were going to make it back in time. He was nervous.
Who?
Kyle.
Kyle.
He needs his
Kyle.
48 minutes. Right now for my man, Michael DENOVA, the handsome, yet still single, Michael DENOVA. Come on, Big Mike.
Thank you, Tony. You know, every time I put a suit on, somebody mistakes me for a manager. That just happened 5 minutes ago. Raise your hand. Who was that? Yeah, there he is. Yeah. I don't work here. I just hang out here all the time. Anyway, how many of you guys are from out of town? Where the fuck did you guys learn how to drive? Man, I was driving downtown the other day, and I saw someone driving down the middle of the road. You can see that they're clearly like, Larry, look at how beautiful the mountain is. Meanwhile, traffic's backed up to Kremling. Oh, my goodness. Everyone have a good Christmas? Nice. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a war on Christmas. And unfortunately, Christmas is winning. You can tell that Christmas is winning because you see Christmas decorations before Halloween even happens. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like Santa Claus hats on my skeletons. Let's have Halloween, let's have Thanksgiving, then we can have Christmas. That's fine. And I'm sure with Christmas, everybody's heard about the whole baby it's cold outside debacle. Yes. My thought is, who cares? It's a terrible song anyway. I've never been in a car with somebody and Baby It's Cold Outside comes on and like, shh, my song's on. It's a bad song. I don't care if it gets banned. In fact, let's take it a step further. Let's ban all Christmas music. Because I'm tired of hearing the same 5 songs over and over again by, you know, different people. So, I'm a festive guy if you can't tell. But listen, I understand the whole political correctness thing. I think it's great that we're trying to be more progressive, but I also understand that we're definitely taking this too far. I got in trouble the other day for using the term tranny. Now, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say that, but that's apparently not an okay thing to say anymore. But I'm always the type of person who's like, you gotta listen to it in context. And the context I was using it in was, boy, my Subaru needs a new tranny because it shifts like shit. Apparently you're not supposed to say that anymore. But listen, we're all a little racist. I think most of the time it's an accident. You know, we all experience accidental racism. I've got an example for you. There was this guy in my class back in high school named Clarence. Clarence was the only black person in our school. I was from a small town, mostly Italian, but we had one black guy. And at a track meet, what's that? Clarence, yeah, Clarence. We were at a track meet, and I saw Clarence up ahead of me, and I started yelling to him because I wanted to talk to him. I said, Clarence, hey, Clarence, 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 hey, Clarence, Clarence. He turned around, it wasn't Clarence. It was a different black guy from a different school. So I had to play it cool, so I just went, Clarence, Clarence, has anyone seen Clarence? I can't find Clarence anywhere. I saw a Mexican guy jogging the other day. First thought that came into my mind was, you made it, dude, you can stop. I told that joke and one of my friends was like, how do you know he's Mexican? That's the fucking point of the story. I was accidentally racist. I just assumed he was. I know, that's racist, but we all are accidentally racist. What I don't like is when people are purposefully racist. Now, you guys familiar with the whole Megyn Kelly debacle? For those of you who don't know, Megyn Kelly used to work for Fox News, then she worked for NBC, and then she was defending the wearing blackface. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know who would want to wear blackface in this time in history. Seems like a good way to get shot by a cop. I don't usually like to get political, but politics these days is pretty crazy. For example, do you guys all remember when Ruth Bader Ginsburg fell down the stairs? You guys remember that? Well, when I came into work that day, my boss said, "Oh, Trump pushed RBG down the stairs." And my first thought was, oh my God, I better check the news. I can't believe he freaking did that. Like, was it an accident? Did he do it on purpose? And the fact that I had that thought really says wonders about our current political climate. But I think all us humans are crazy. We don't belong here on this earth. I'm pretty sure the human species is an invasive species. For those of you who don't know, an invasive species is a species that goes someplace it doesn't belong and they ruin the environment. Now that sums us up pretty easily. I'm pretty sure we came down with the aliens. They came and visited. Oh, the earth is nice, and we all crawled off the ships like rats. I mean, just think like the things we do to the animals here on this earth. Now, you can tell by looking at me that I'm not a vegan. In fact, I can't enjoy a meal unless I know something's died. But I understand where vegans come from. I understand. I think that's smart. You know, we got to treat our animals with respect. And I know if aliens came back down to this earth and they saw the things that we were doing. For example, you know it's delicious when you take chicken, you dip it in egg, you dip it in breading, and you fry it up. Well, that's good. But we're taking chicken and we're dipping it in an egg. We're taking an animal and we're dipping it in the unborn fetus of its own baby because it tastes better that way. Can you believe that? If aliens came back down and they saw that, they would think we were crazy. Look at the turducken. Let's shove a bird inside another bird's ass. And then another bird. Oh. Another thing that's crazy about the human species is we have people starving in all these third world countries. You know what the leading cause of death here in America is? Obesity. We are literally eating too much of what we need, and it's killing us. Now, I knew this guy. I used to work at a nursing home. There was this guy there. I don't know why that's funny. I used to work at a nursing home. When I wore this, people thought I was the administrator. They don't have managers at a nursing home. Anyway, I lost my train of thought here. Oh, there was a guy there. He had no legs. His name was Bob. Well, we used to have children come in around the holidays to help make Christmas ornaments and Christmas cards and stuff and just visit the elderly people. There was a kid there who was like really into like World War II. You could tell he was just starting to learn about it. He had a library book that was about, you know, America fighting in Europe. And he goes up to this guy with no legs and he goes, "How'd you lose those legs? Did you lose those legs fighting the Nazis?" And Bob turned and was like, "Nah, cake." He lost his legs to cake. That's a diabetes joke. You look confused. You know, I often think if I was to go on a diet and lose some weight, I'd be a little bit better with the ladies, but it's not my fault. Every time I decide to go on a diet, they recall lettuce. But dating's hard anyway, especially when you're in your 30s. Dating in your 30s is like drinking expired milk. You gotta be careful. You know, I dated this girl in college. She was really crazy. One thing about dating a crazy girl is it's a lot like drinking Jaeger. You know it's a bad idea at the time, but you decide to do it anyway, and then you regret it immediately. This girl was truly crazy. She was pledging to be in a sorority, and they told her to wear waterproof shoes because they were going to be out in the rain all day. And so She went out with sneakers with plastic bags tied around her feet. I dated this girl for a year. Hey, man, no one else was knocking. This girl also, this is true. She was like, I think I might be related to Jesus. Because of something she saw in the film, The Da Vinci Code. And she didn't even read the book. She just saw it in the film and assumed that she was related to Jesus. Again, I dated this girl for a year. Anyway, how we broke up was she asked me if she could borrow my car. I said yes. And then she totaled it. And then she called me up and she was like, hey, I totaled your car. I don't really want to talk about it. In fact, I think we're over. That is a true story. So if you guys wonder why I'm single all the time, you can thank her. Back in college, we used to have to use keys to get into our bathrooms on our floor. Reason why this was is because they assumed if you could only get into your own bathroom, you wouldn't vandalize it. Now, these are the people that we are expecting to sign all these $100,000 loans. People who are vandalizing bathrooms in a college. But anyway, I had this crazy roommate who was really into drugs and alcohol. He partied all the time. That wasn't really my scene. So I would go to bed at a reasonable hour, and he would come home and wake me up. It wasn't a big deal. He was mostly quiet. But one night I should say, I was asleep, and all of a sudden I felt something on my leg. And I wake up and I turn around and I see my roommate, Paul, and he's standing there in his boxers and he's just rubbing my leg. And he's just holding on to his dick. So that was exciting. So I went from being asleep in my bed into a Spider-Man pose up against the wall, trying to stay as far away from him as possible. I'm like, Paul, what are you doing? And he just starts rubbing my bed, and he just keeps going. He's just holding his dick. And I realize, oh, he's got to use the bathroom. Because ladies, I don't know if you know this, but you can pinch it off like you're pinching off a garden hose. It's not good for you, but it works, you know? Gets you an extra couple minutes. So I realize Paul has to go to the bathroom, and he's looking for the key because we need a key to get into our bathroom. So I get up, I start looking around, trying to find the key. Finally, I get the key, but apparently I took too long because Paul took his comforter off his bed, he spun it in a ball, threw it on the floor, and just started peeing in the middle of our dorm room. So I went to bed. The next day I woke up, and Paul was laying in his bed, curled up in that comforter, just real tight, just soaking wet with urine, just like how I imagined Trump would be after a Russian business meeting.
The man, the myth, the legend, I don't know how we roped him into it, but he's known as Sarah's husband, a.k.a. Spencer Garland. Give it up.
So like I said, it's my first time ever doing stand-up, and really my first time ever performing on stage since Beidel Elementary's 1996 production of Santa Who. And so, not really my element. Also, I happen to be an engineer, so really weird. But anyhow, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about. It's been a busy year in my life, you know, all the snowboarding and mountain biking and everything Steamboat has to offer. And oh, by the way, had a son named Kai, right there in attendance. So I figured I'd tell you the story about Kai's conception. Now, don't worry. I got permission from my wife to tell this story, or a version of it. So, about a year and a half ago when we decided to have a kid, you know, everything runs through your mind. I'm an engineer, a mathematical person. The first thing I thought about was, I should track my wife's cycle. You know, this would be advantageous. So I whipped out Excel, start programming away, and then I'm like, wait, go into Google Play. Yeah, sure as shit, there's an app for that. It's called Clue. Now, this app is wonderful. It tells you the start, the length, when she may be moody. I mean, it tells you everything. My favorite part of the app, though, is that it notifies me when it's my time to shine. And that's important, you know. You got to gather the troops. You only got a few shots each month, and you want a well-timed attack. So, after a few months with, by the way, impeccable response time to the Clue notifications, I was starting to get a bit nervous that we hadn't made it yet. You know, any man doesn't want to be kind of the loser there. And so I started to think to myself, my engineering brain kicked in. Last time I checked, you know, fluids flow downhill. Maybe we could do some different post-sex positioning to help it out. You know, let gravity do its work. So I kind of confident in my new idea, and my very loving, patient wife, I know she'll probably hear this out. And so I go home and I say, honey, what do you think about doing a little cum soak? Now,
What are you talking about? What the hell is that?
well, you know, maybe after sex, you just kind of lay back on your back. I could even prop your legs up. Or you could go into the corner and do a headstand or something. I don't know. Oh, that's bullshit. Let's Google it. So, okay, I'm C-U-M-S-O-A-K. Well, the results were familiar, but they were not what I needed in that moment. So, my more pragmatic better half already had a whole host of search results showing that post-sex positioning was an old wives' tale. And she looked at me and she's like, I think the problem's with you. I'm like, well, what have I been doing wrong?
You've been toasting your testes in the hot tub.
So I look at the results and give credence to it. It had a .org. That's always better, right? So anyhow, I'm on the ski lift next day. It's powder day. Love it up here. You know, everyone says Steamboat flat. Just keep everybody away. It's the best mountain ever. So it's like my favorite thing to do. Well, one of them. And what I really love to do after I snowboard is get into my hot tub. It's just ended to a great day. So I'm up there, powder day, just loving life, and on the chairlift, and ding, ding, ding. That's Clue. I'm like, shit. How am I going to have my cake and eat it too? I'm like, you know, it's only two parts that can't be in the hot tub. So my mind flashes back to a Van Wilder movie. Now, I can tell you, although my boys aren't quite as buoyant, with a hand assist, things seem to work out all right. So a few weeks later, I'm coming home from work, walk into the door. My wife's like crying. I'm like, oh God, because the emotion notification had gone off earlier that day, and I just wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I'm pregnant. The hand assist worked. So immediately when you find out that you're pregnant, you know, a million thoughts start racing through your head. And one of the first things you got to do is book your doctor's appointment. Now, I don't know about any of the gentlemen here, but, you know, watching my wife year after year come home from the gyno talking about the stirrups, you just kind of get this weird picture in your head. So I was a little anxious, kind of excited, see the stirrups at least, and so anyway, we go into the doctor's office and get in, and I'll tell you, it got physical quick. the doc whips out these stainless steel, like duck-billed plier-looking things. I later learned were called a speculum. And he starts going to work on my wife. Now, I'm back shoulder to shoulder with Sarah, kind of look at her, like, seeing if she's comfortable, and she didn't seem to bother her at all. And then the doc kind of looks below his curtain with his beady little eyes. Hey, you want to come check it out? So I look at my wife, and she gives a nod of approval, and I jump down in the trenches with him. I'll tell you, it's a whole new world down there. So anyway, after the physical, we had the Q&A session, and the typical, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you morning sick? What's the date of your last period? And on that one, my wife kind of hesitated, and I'm like, October 23rd. He kind of looks at me inquisitively, and I'm like, Doc, I've been tracking her. There's an app for that. It's called Clue. And it wasn't the colonel in the living room with the candlestick. It was me in the hot tub with the hand assist. So anyway, we move on through the pregnancy. It's a pretty good pregnancy. At least I thought so. Whenever I said that, I was told like, eh. So she's full term, and it's summer, beautiful Steamboat summer. And it's Keller Williams is going to show at the Steamboat Summer Concert Series. So I convinced my wife to come out, and yeah, we met up with some friends at the concert. Everyone's kind of looking at Sarah. What if you have the baby now? We could name him Keller. And it's like, so I was in line with her at the bathroom like for the third time at the porta potty because pregnant women have like an ounce of pee hold. And I'm looking at her, and I start thinking about engineering again, gravity, and I'm looking at her and gravity, and at the last minute she's walking in, I'm like, honey, slow down, we don't need a blue baby. Now, fortunately, she came back with the baby still inside, but we did have Kai 4 hours later and named him Kai Keller Garland. So pretty shortly after the birth, we started thinking about childcare and realized that an au pair would probably be the best route for us to go. I had to stay at work, and, I'm a modern man. I wanted my wife to get back to work, too. Now, she wanted to as well, but, So, anyhow, we decided we wanted somebody from Latin America because Spanish would be a great background for Kai to have. So we get online, start looking. It's kind of weird. Some of them look like Tinder profiles, some of them like Facebook pages. It's a strange thing. And as you can imagine, 95% of the candidates are female. Well, we get on, and I shit you not, in 30 seconds, she zoomed in right on a Manny. And I'm like, oh boy. She just must not want some young, hot Latina walking around the house. But I don't know about this because I've been growing really comfortable into my dad bod. Like, this last 9 months has been nice, get a little sympathy weight. I don't need any of that around. It's distracting her. So, needless to say, in October, we welcomed Miguel Ramirez into our family. So, between me, the new son, and Miguel, my wife likes to say she's leading a harem of men. We get a lot, the year started with me asking my wife to let it soak in and ended with this. That says it all. We get a lot of looks, like walking in the grocery store. I'm like hand in hand with my wife, and Miguel's next to us with a baby strapped to his chest. You know, sometimes when they're off on their own, I'm like, I wonder what people think. They think they're the cutest little family. Thank God he has blue eyes. It's like my only saving grace from me not getting cropped out of the equation altogether. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Can't believe you're making me say this. The thunder down under, the Jew coming for you. Kyle Noblett.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Well, in case we haven't met before, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Tony just told you I'm a Jew. I'm also a carpenter. My friends call me Jesus. I make sure to give my wife the host every night. But things are kind of scary in the world. I heard recently that as much as 25% of the world thinks that Jews have too much control over the financial system. And let me let you in on a little secret about that. You know, Christians and Catholics usually give about 10% of their income to the church. By the way, it's to the church, not to Jesus. I've never gotten a penny. But I digress. Us Jews, we take that 10% and we put it right here. Right here. That's right, we've all got a little bag of Jew gold with us. Yep. No, but in all seriousness, it's because we push our kids to pursue profitable career paths, like medicine or law. None of this, oh, you can go get a degree in English for a $250,000 student loan, because that's a good fucking idea, and a degree that you already speak the fucking language. It's a terrible investment. The Jewish parents will tell you, well, if you're not smart enough to be a doctor or a lawyer, you can always be an accountant. I mean, QuickBook does most of the work for you anyway, really. But let me get away from the Jew stuff. I can see some of you are a little pissed off about the Jews killing your Lord and Savior. But I'm back, baby. Okay, I'll stop. Have you guys ever heard of a sandwich called the McGangbang? You can get it in some city McDonald's. They'll actually make it for you. It's not some gross sex thing between Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar or anything like that. You take a McDouble, you split it apart, you take a McChicken, bun and all, put it in the middle, squish that down together and try to fit that in your mouth. I'll tell you, there has never been a neater or more efficient way to package heart disease and colorectal cancer. But it's delicious, and it was a staple for me in college. But partly because the cafeteria in college, which I went to, had a scandal where they were found to be putting laxatives in their food because it didn't contain enough fiber to support a normal digestive system. But now I'm married to a vegan, and things definitely change when you're married to a vegan. Like, for instance, I don't get to eat meat or I don't get to have sex with her. And I know a lot of you are looking at me thinking, he's a vegan, and like, what the fuck is that? But don't worry, my penis has not inverted itself into a vagina yet. Not yet. We'll see. Now, when I was young, I used to smoke weed in the house, and I always tried to be careful to make sure my parents never found out. I'm sure, like a lot of you. But now that we're in Colorado and it's legal and I'm well of age, it's not as big of a deal. But things are getting a little weird because, like, a little while ago, I went to give my son a bath. He was 3 years old. It was about 8 o'clock when I finished giving him a bath. It was 8:10. When I came out of the bathroom, there was just a haze of smoke. It smelled like a college fraternity. My mom was smoking the bong in the living room. And she was like, "What? I thought you put him to bed." I said, "No, bath. Bath." So, are any of you hunters? Any hunters here tonight? Okay, I'm glad it wasn't too big of a response because this might sting. I've always been told by hunters that going out and killing something really makes you feel like a man, right? I'm sure you've heard that before, at least. If I had to guess, a lot of these guys probably haven't experienced giving a woman a multiple orgasm, because that really makes me feel like a man. Just saying. Have you guys ever tried to get a drunk bitch to leave a party? It is fucking impossible. Like, one way, you look like a total pussy bitch. You're like, "Come on, baby, let's go home. It's getting late. You had enough to drink. You have work tomorrow." Total pussy. And the other way, you look like an abusive asshole who's about to get Me Too'd, dragging out a baby who's kicking and screaming. It's fucking miserable, but it is a million times worse when that drunk bitch is your wife. Okay? And I love my wife. She's smart, beautiful, funny, but she's not a drinker. She goes 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor. Pretty strong. And usually around the second drink, I'll try to get my wife to maybe go home, but at least stop drinking as much. And then she comes up to me and says the one thing that no married man can ever say no to. She's like, "Come on, baby, I'll suck your dick." And of course, by the time we get home, that's out of the question. It's never happening. But, you know, what do I expect? Have you guys ever noticed the difference between when you ask your wife or girlfriend if she wants a drink, and then her girlfriends ask the same question if she wants to get a drink? Because when I ask my wife if she wants to get a drink, she's like, "Well, I don't know. You've kind of been drinking a beer like every night for the last few nights. I think you might be an alcoholic." Like, and then her girlfriends ask if she wants to get a drink, and she's like, "Let's get fucked up." But again, what do you expect? When we first met, was around the time that I first saw the bottled water company Smart Water before, and right before my wife took her first sip of Smart Water, she was looking at the bottle and she was like, "It's called Smart Water because it makes you smarter, ha ha ha." And then she immediately proceeded to dump water all over her face, completely missing her mouth. But in her defense, she didn't have any water to drink yet. So, I mean, I hadn't made her smarter yet. So we're actually expecting our second child. Thank you. I appreciate it. Due in June. So I'm going to leave you with my New Year's resolution is I'm getting a vasectomy. I'm done. 2 is plenty. Well, thank you guys. You're a great crowd.
Avery Cavender, give it to him.
Thank you. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I walked on stage and my first thought was, I'm pregnant. Fuck this shit. But thank you for the applause. You made me stick around. Okay, so it's the holidays. My personal favorite part of the holidays is probably Hallmark movies. I know only like 10 women cheered for that. Thank you. In case you don't know, all of the men in the audience, it's, they're really sad and, no, I'm fucking with you. They're these like little romantic, shitty things you can't stop watching during Christmas and snow and shit. Thank you, can't stop, won't stop. Okay, so I watch because mainly I'm hoping that one time, just once, you're gonna get to the part of the movie where, the guy takes the woman out someplace and he's showing her something he's never shown anyone before. And let's say it's like a nice scenic barn, right? Why not? Okay, so I want him to like open the barn doors and there's Donner and Dasher and Cupid and he's like, they're all stuffed and dead. I want you to see this with me. They're all stuffed and dead, and he's got Santa trussed up like a Thanksgiving turkey, like that guy who comes out of the chest in Pulp Fiction in that basement with the ball gag. And he turns to her and he goes, "Thank you for making me believe in Christmas again." Let it sink in. Okay, the holidays are really about the kids, and for me it's about my little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy that no one thinks is mine. My husband went before Jesus. No one thinks it's his either. We call him our little Jewish evolutionary defense system. And he's getting older, and he's saying things, and he's just, bringing you back, making you think of all the weird shit kids say. Or think, like, he eats soup, and he's like, "It's pee now." The moment it's in his mouth. For me, when I was a kid, it was ethnic cleansing. I was always thought I was like, I'm sure it's really rude to go grab your like minority neighbor and force him to take a bath, but it's not exactly a crime against humanity. Not only do kids say weird things, we play weird games to entertain them, and we were making weird noise in each other's faces, like, and I spit on him, and I was like, shit, I'm not gonna play that anymore. And he grabbed my face, and he said, the sweetest, darndest thing I'm gonna keep with me forever. He grabbed my face, and he said, "Mommy, spit in my face." Aww. Okay, so you heard that I'm pregnant. I still love my husband. I don't know why we chose to do this again. Do you think you have everything but still want more? Do you want strangers to come up and touch your stomach? Do you want to make small talk with people you don't know? Try pregnancy. Warning, pregnancy is not for everyone. If you're allergic to pregnancy or small children, you probably shouldn't do it. Side effects include, but are not limited to, heartburn, tiredness, dizziness, memory loss, lack of reason, hormonal imbalance, swollen hands and feet, weight gain, bloating, constipation, incontinence, flatulence, mood swings, gestational diabetes, hyperclampsia, hernias, vaginal tearing, death, and anal prolapse. I got you. Did you ever notice that when women get pregnant, it's beautiful and wonderful and a miracle of nature? And when men get pregnant, it's that horror movie franchise called Alien? What the fuck? One of my biggest side effects of pregnancy has been the hormonal dreams that I keep having. For me, it's nightmares about my husband cheating on me. Any women familiar with those dreams? No? Bunch of fucking liars! Bullshit! Anyway, I wake up in the middle of the night from these fucking nightmares, and I'm beating the shit out of my husband. Thank you, varsity boxing in college. And I do not stop until the blind rage passes. I'm sorry. Anyway, after I get the energy out, go back to sleep. I love you. Good night, baby. The next day, every time he walks in the room, Where the fuck have you been? The kitchen. I'm really hoping that this time I'm pregnant with a little girl, because I already have a little boy, and I want one of each like they're collectibles. But then the more I think about having a little girl, the thought that enters my head is, shit, those fucking Disney princesses. Yeah, you might say on, but let's be honest for a minute, okay? Cinderella. She cleans the house all day and gets like bullied by her sisters, and she gets a fucking fairy godmother? It's not like she's an Eastern European sex slave. Beauty and the Beast, I have to explain to my child that if a weird, scary man kidnaps you and you fall in love with him, that's Stockholm Syndrome. And Snow White, at best, that's a case of necrophilia gone right. Why can't we lay eggs? Wouldn't that be more convenient? You just carry it around, keep it warm, and if you didn't want to get pregnant, as long as you could keep the nearest male from jizzing on it, you could make a tasty breakfast. I don't even eat eggs. I like the thought of it, though. When I found out I was pregnant, my first thought was, shit, now I have to go to the goddamn gyno again. Okay, I'm probably gonna lose a lot of you here. Does anybody else, when I go to the gyno, the moment his head goes below that paper curtain, all I can hear is boop, 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 dive, dive, dive. General, there's something weird on the radar. Fire the torpedoes! It was just me, I knew that. So when you're pregnant, they try to make you get, what's it called? Genetic testing, especially if you're Jewish. Which makes me feel even more like it's kind of a Nazi thing. You know, they get the test results and they're like, the baby is not perfect. Abort! Hey, I'm not the Nazi. God. You ever think about how weird socially the gyno is? Your whole life, like especially your mom tells you to cross your legs, keep your ankles together, otherwise they're easy. And then, because you happen to have made an appointment, you have to like spread them wide and go to your happy place. All right. And then, you know, they train these doctors, and their bedside manner to make everything better about this weird situation is to make small talk with you that gets muffled by the paper robe and pubic hair. Like, hey, the weather's been... Do you like skiing this time? Just once, I wish that I had the skill that a ventriloquist has, so I could be like, hey, what you looking at? All right, thank you very much, guys. You've been really good.
Fear the Beard, Drew McElhaney. Come on, bud.
For the nudie photos. All right, everybody there? Sorry I'm doing all those jokes without a microphone. That's because I didn't want you to hear them. All righty, Happy New Year's, everybody. Huh? We excited? Better be. It's got to be a lot better than the last fucking year, right? Come on. It's getting scary out there. Oh, man. Well, it's good to see you guys there tonight. I know as I walk around, you're looking at my physique. I will let you know that this did not come from a cum soak. That'd be the mess in my beard. Think about it. I was really fucked up in college too, because I do not remember Mike DENOVA being my roommate. I hear Zoe Messenger's mother is in the crowd. Are you here? All right, I should just call you Mom starting now. Arrrr. You guys just wait, you'll see. All right, so I'm just going to start out by just telling you a little bit about myself, because the last time I didn't do that, and I think people need to know a little bit about myself. So I was born in Houston, Texas. At least those two won't hold it against me. I was like, the other day I was walking down the street here, and I saw a family coming down, and the kid had a shirt on that said, "Keep Austin Weird." And I was like, "Hey, you guys must be from Texas." And they looked at me, and they're like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "Well, his shirt." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, because he's got a Texas shirt on." I said, No, because everybody in Texas thinks Austin's weird. Everybody else in the country thinks Austin's normal, and the rest of Texas is weird. Oh, but my family was nice. They moved me out of Texas. They moved me to Colorado, to a small little town called Manitou Springs, Colorado. It's right outside of Colorado Springs, the murder capital of the United States of America. The home of Lieutenant Joe Kenda. Yeah, anybody? Nobody? We got any ID Discovery fans? Nobody watches ID Discovery? You don't watch murder after murder after murder? I mean, Colorado Springs has a show all on one cop and all the murders. It's insane. But I'm like, my wife says I'm completely addicted to ID Discovery, that I watch way too many murder shows. I'm way too into it. The other day I was watching one, and it's a sad story. It's a sad one, and it's kind of close to home. It happened here in Colorado. And it's about 2 years ago. This guy told his wife that he wanted to go for a hike on their wedding anniversary. And they went for a hike, and he pushed her off the cliff. And I thought, yeah, this ain't going to work for me. No. Second, I tell my wife I want to go on a hike for our wedding anniversary. She's calling every insurance company and canceling every policy. They also said that this guy went on 9 hikes to map it all out before he took her up there. 9! I'm not even doing the 1! 9 times on a hike! There's got to be an easier way to kill your wife. I'm telling you. That's way too hard. Oh, man. I am getting a little bit maybe too addicted to the shows, though. I am. Because my wife came in the other day to give me a hug, and I flinched like a motherfucker. She's like, "What?" I was like, "Why you coming in all stealthy and shit?" She's like, "You've got a problem." The next morning, she was leaving the bedroom. She's like, "What are you going to do with your dirty laundry?" I was like, "Oh, shit, I still left the hooker in the trunk?" You know what I mean. You still got one in your trunk, buddy. You know it. So anyways, also, I moved, after living in Manitou Springs, Colorado, I moved 2 days after high school graduation, I moved up to the mountains, got out of the Front Range. Can't stand the Front Range. I can't do it. I'm sorry, folks. Anybody here from the Front Range? Got some Front Rangers? I can't do it. I can't. And those tunnels, what is it, the Eisenhower Tunnel and the Johnson Tunnel, we familiar? That is like going to another dimension for me. It's like I'm driving east, I go through the Eisenhower Tunnel, it's like... Why are you driving in the left lane? Slower traffic is to move to the right. Move over. Move over. Move over. Oh, now you can't use your blinker? Now you can't use your blinker to move over? What, is this too hard? Huh? Is this too hard? Too hard for a Front Ranger to do this, isn't it? Yeah, too hard, huh? Too hard. for like 3 days. And then I drive back up and I go through the Johnson Tunnel. I come through. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones. Sorry, I just need to do that for myself. All right. Oh, man. How about, how many people, we've already established this, but let's do it again. Sound of applause. How many people from out of town? All right. Let's do it louder than that. Sound of applause. How many people are locals? You whiny little bitches. Steamboat people are whiny little bitches. You guys whine, we whine about the dumbest shit in the world. They're like, Putin's got 50,000 troops on the border with Ukraine. 1,100 people died in Indonesia because of a tsunami. And we're like, if it doesn't snow, the mountain's not going to open on time. It really needs to snow. It's not snowing. Where's the snow? If it doesn't snow, we're not going to be able to ski. We need more terrain. More terrain. There's not enough terrain. They're like whiny little bitches. Like, it's insane. Like, where is it? I want to go this way. I want to go that way. Oh, man. And then it snows for 4 fucking months. We get 10-foot drifts in our driveways. And everybody's like, when's it going to stop snowing? When's it going to stop snowing? Really? Oh, I'm so sick of the snow. It's just been snowing this whole time. Whiny, just whiny. And it's like, I want to get my mountain bike out so I can ride on a bike path that says I'm not supposed to ride on it, but it's okay, I'm a local. All right, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, it's okay, I'm a limo driver. Here, it's okay, I'm a local. Excuse me, sir, I can't park there. I'm a local. I can do anything I want. You're not supposed to be in the Chief Theater having sex at 3 a.m, but I'm a local. And Scott Parker's with me. He's the one taking the photos with the midget and the donkey, because that always makes a joke funnier. Oh, man. And traffic in Steamboat, right? Traffic? Oh, my God. You can tell how long someone's been a local in Steamboat by how they complain about traffic. So if the traffic's backed up to the Old Town Hot Springs and they're bitching, well, then they've been here for 30 plus years. If it's backed up to the Hilltop Connector and they're bitching, well, they've been here about 10 years. And if they're bitching that it's all the way back to Pine Grove, we just say, welcome to Steamboat. You must be new. The other thing is about the whiny little Steamboat. This is a great one. I love this one, you whiny little bitches. I love this one. This one's like, excuse me, do you have a fidget McGuidget? No, I don't, but hold on one second. I don't have one of those, but Ace does. I don't want to drive all the way across town. You live in Chicago, you want to go to IKEA. You drive 45 minutes across Chicago to get to IKEA. If you're in LA, you drive 25 minutes to 40 minutes to get to an In-N-Out burger. Here we're just like, I'm not sure if I want to go across town. Yeah, because it's going to be hard to get that 6.5 minutes back. Crazy people, man, crazy. The other night I was sitting at a bar here in town and I met this couple. Well, I kind of knew him, but I kind of met him again. And I said, so what are you doing now? Because he had lost his job, he got a new job. He said, well, me and my wife, we both work at Smartwool. I was like, oh, what a coincidence. I just told my wife the other night that I wanted to go for the next Halloween as a Smartwool sock. And these people were like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have holes all over it. And then every time you talk to a Smartwool person about the holes in their socks, they're always like, cut your toenails. You need to cut your toenails. I'm sorry, I'm a freak. I have toenails growing out of my heel. I'm not an animal! Get it? That's the toenail. That's for the next class, folks. All righty. Whew. It's good to see you guys. This is fun. This is good times. Oh, man. Hey, how about that Tony Cat in the hat? T-Sizzle, my man right over there. We do a radio show together. We are brothers from another mother. It might be the same mother. Who knows? We kind of look a lot alike. We call him T-Sizzle, or T for short. T is not for Tony. It is for token. And I'm telling you what, man, the other thing about Steamboat pisses me off is we half-ass everything. We never fully do anything. Totally half-ass it. Every other ski area in the country is making these big, beautiful hotels at the bottom of their ski area. We build one where you can't drive into the garage if you have a ski rack on your car. But not only that, we half-assed our token. Okay? Seriously. We got a black man who drives a Subaru and has a Yorkie named Princess. Steamboat can't even go out and get an African-American token that's got at least a little bit of street cred. I swear to God, he opened his car the other day, Taylor Swift was playing. But let's face it, she makes us feel good, doesn't she? I do struggle from some things. I struggle from a bad back. I have for years, for a long, long time, and it's horrible. Anybody here have a bad back? Round of applause. You know, if you hurt your back when you pop it out, you can't move, right? Like, you're like, oh, shit, oh, shit. And then you got to sneeze. You're like, it's horrible. It's like, there goes a rib. And your wife's like, oh, can you take out the garbage? You're like, oh, baby, my back. She's like, can you shovel the driveway? I'm like, sweetie, my back. She's like, well, can we have sex? And all of a sudden, I'm like Michael Phelps doing the 200-meter butterfly. She's like, what about your back? And I was like, fuck my back. But before my wife, back when I was younger, many more years when I was younger, I was with this girl. And we were getting hot and heavy. It was like the one time. And we were getting really into it and everything. And we're getting sensual. We're touching each other. We're kissing on each other. She loves it. We're getting hot. And the clothes come off, right? And I start moving around the body and working my way around and slowly working down. And we're all adults here. I spread the legs to paradise. And I dive right on in. And I get in there and she's loving it. She's loving it. She's like, oh. And I'm thinking I'm the stud. I'm like, yeah, this is good. And I hit a spot. She's like, and she shifts her legs, and I feel my back go. And I got my face like snugged up in there, and all of a sudden I can't move. I am locked in place, and all of a sudden I'm sitting down there just going, and she's going, and I'm like, and she's like, oh yeah, right there. Oh God, what are you doing to me? 20 minutes and 3 orgasms later, she's like thinking, maybe there's something wrong. 20 minutes and 2 orgasms later, she's like, oh, maybe I should get off. She rolls over, lifts her leg up, rolls over. There I am, lying, crying in a fetal position, naked, sopping wet. Let that be the image you take into 2019. Happy New Year.
Hey, Zoe Messenger, give it up and make some noise. Give her that Steamboat love.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, guys. Let me just reorganize this a little bit. Somebody else's notes are here, so I think I'll try to do my set and then theirs. Yeah, before I get started, why don't we put our hands together for all the amazing comics tonight? For Kristen for putting on the show, and Tony, and they all had me pissing myself, seriously. It was hilarious. Anyway, man, I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, my last gig was in Los Angeles, and, when I got there, they carded me on my way in. Yeah, I know, it's surprising. I was like, no, I'm performing tonight. They said, what are you, some sort of comedian? I said, what are you, some sort of doorman? The fucking nerve of that guy. Tonight's different, though, I walked in, and they didn't ID me. He just said, do you smoke weed? I said, yes. He said, go right in, young lady. If you can't tell already, looking young has always been a problem for me. Yeah. When I go into clubs, they don't card me. No, they just ask where my mother is. Yeah, when I was skiing, I took a hot cocoa break, and, I went in, the hostess seated me, and she offered me a box of crayons. My boyfriend was actually arrested for child pornography for posting our vacation photos. Guys, I'm just kidding. He's still at large. A little background on me before I get going. I was born on 420. Thank you. Yeah, so was Hitler. Anyways, born on 420. I'm a chef and I'm unemployed. So lately it's getting really confusing. I don't know whether to smoke the pot, stir the pot, or shit and get off the pot. Anyway, tonight, I'm alive, all is well. I really want to make some New Year's resolutions. And I was thinking we could all make them together. So who still has their stuffed animals? Okay, my mom is lying. She's trying to be supportive. And I know people have their fucking stuffed animals. Anyway, throw that shit away. Just throw it away. It's time to move on. Since I'm with a bunch of locals, who out there has ever snuck into the ski school line? No? Okay, you have. Well, I'm really small, so I kind of just sneak in there and they never even notice. So that's definitely a resolution. Stop doing that. And you know the panty tree, off the chairlift? Yeah. Yeah, I've been throwing up all my thongs on that tree, so I don't even have any underwear anymore, so definitely got to stop doing that. Anyway, I've had a lot of bad luck with cars recently. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, my car was keyed. And I thought, wow, that's never happened to me before, so that's messed up. But I thought, wow, I can't believe I already have enemies. I don't even have fans. Then last Friday, I was hit by a drunk driver. I'm okay, but I was hit twice. Yeah. The first time I assume was an accident. But I'm starting to think, do you think the second hit was personal? She was kind of drunk and pushy. Maybe she was hitting on me. Or maybe she was some kind of comedian. You didn't like that. It's kind of scary, right? I'm okay, though. But anyway, I was in the hospital, here in Steamboat, and I was waiting and for my x-rays, and, this hot radiologist comes in to take my x-rays. I'm kind of flirting with him, joking around, and no matter what I did, he just saw right through me. Yeah, didn't work. then he came back before he was giving me medicine, and he said, "Are you allergic to anything?" And I said, "Well, I'm allergic to penicillin, dairy, people," which was a joke. But he literally jolted out of the room. And I was like, no, come back. I have lovely bones. Come back. Anyway, the accident gave me really bad whiplash. So I went to see a cranial sacral doctor, which is, when they kind of manipulate your cranial and your sacral, and they kind of connect to you spiritually. And, after the session, he said, you have great energy, you have a really sweet heart. And I thought, wow. And he said, but don't use your humor to escape your pain. I said, whoops, too late. Anyway, my dad's a really cool guy. He's here tonight. He's a hippie, a New Yorker, lives in LA, and grew up in Woodstock, did a lot of acid, was friends with Timothy Leary, still a regular at Burning Man. Yeah, I'm a college grad. I live in LA, smoke a lot of fish. My mattress isn't on the floor. Yeah, I'm a real disappointment. My dad called me the other day and he asked what I'm doing other than my stand-up gigs. And I told him I'm doing a lot of meditation. He said, well, I'm glad you're not sitting around doing nothing. But my dad actually, he taught me TM as a kid, which is transcendental meditation. And if you don't know what that is, it's when you sit around and you get a secret word or a mantra and you repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until your mind is totally clear. So I still use the same fucking mantra he gave me when I was 5. Potty mouth, 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 potty mouth. Yeah, it's not working. Anyway, meditation wasn't going so well, clearly. But, I started seeing a therapist, and I told her I'm doing stand-up, and she said, well, how do you feel about it? I told her, I feel like I'm dying up here. She said, I need you to start paying me in advance. I said, okay, do you take Venmo? She said, no. I said, what the hell is this? Can I pay you in quarters? All right. I'm practicing for my television special, so there you go. Over the course of my life, I've always put a lot of pressure on myself for finding out what I'm meant to do, because I kind of feel like a Renaissance woman. I feel like I could do a million things. So finding out the one thing I should do has been really stressful. So I went to see this healer, Bhagawana Shamalana. It doesn't sound familiar to you? Okay, well, he has 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And by day, he's a ski instructor to make ends meet. It's a tough gig out there, Anyway, he told me I could achieve inner peace by just finishing what I started. Yeah. So before I got here, I finished a quart of green juice, 2 joints, and my bat mitzvah thank you notes. Whew. I feel better already. I remember my line, okay? I'm just making you wait. Also, you know how you never want to end up like your parents, but you inevitably do? Yeah. Okay. It isn't funny, you're right. I'm a carbon copy of my mother. We look the same, we have the same taste, we like the same things. We drink kombucha, we do yoga, we're addicted to sushi, we're creative, we're entrepreneurial, we like art, we ski, we both hide our vibrators in the same place. Yeah, under the bed. Hi, Mom. Anyway, my mom started her own dessert company at a young age on the East Coast. And I always said I want to do my own thing, have a very different career. So I moved to Los Angeles to get some separation. And I started cooking in a restaurant. 2 weeks later, I was making the desserts. But there is something we don't have in common. Yeah, she's not funny. No, seriously, she doesn't make people laugh. I guess I don't either. Safety net, safety net, safety net. You know, actually, the other day I took a 20 milligram edible. Yeah, which, if you look at me, I weigh like 100 pounds, and 20 milligrams is a really intense dose of marijuana. You know, so I was freaking out. I was like curled up in a fetal position. I was sucking on my thumb, and I was holding my stuffed animals, and I didn't know what to do. You know, so I called my mom, who, you know, I assumed she'd be the voice of reason, you know, because she's not funny. I called her, and she said, "Baby, just enjoy the ride." Which was unexpected, right? You know, I didn't call my dad because I knew he'd just say, "That's my girl, stoned at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday." You know, speaking of edibles, my grandmother, she's 92, and she is addicted to edibles. And that is actually funny. So, you know, it always skips a generation, the funny. So I went to visit my grandmother. She lives in La Costa, California, and she lives along the golf course. And you know, I drove down to see her, and we went for a walk when I got there. And we were walking around down the golf course, and she's showing me all these beautiful houses. And you know, she's like, "Oh, look at that beautiful Victorian house. Yeah, what a great couple. They're dead." "Oh man, I loved him, Mr. Goldblum. He was a stockbroker. Yeah, he's dying." "Oh, down there, that's always been my favorite house, and now it's on the market because they died." I said, "Grandma, what is this? Are we on death row?" Yeah, she didn't really laugh. And I said, "Grandma, what is this? Are we on death row?" Then I realized she didn't have her hearing aids in. I guess you guys don't either. Anyway, I've been dating a guy for a few years now that's not from my cultural background. You know, it all started when we were kids. The first book my parents gave me was called Everybody Poops. Yeah, his was the Bible. My second was called The Gas We Pass. His was the Gentleman's Book of Etiquette. Yeah, I fart. He says, "God bless you." He farts. I say, "Hallelujah." I mean, I even start clapping. Anyway, we just celebrated 4 years together. Thank you. Things are going really well. Yeah, we live in different homes. We have meals apart. We take separate vacations. You know, we're doing whatever we can to keep this relationship alive. You know, my boyfriend actually had a dog named Zoe for years before we started dating, you know, and it got really weird. You know, like we'd be in bed and he'd be scratching my ears and rubbing my belly saying, "That's a good girl." Which I liked. But when he told me to roll over, it really pissed me off. So I bit him. He said if I was a good girl tonight, he'd give me a treat. We'll see. You know, speaking of treats, it kind of reminds me of all my crazy time working in kitchens, you know, on the line, like covered with tattoo-covered chefs, doing cocaine in the walk-in. You know, I mean, I was none of those things, obviously, but they were. You know, and it reminds me, the kitchen has this really bizarre lingo, you know? Like when you're in a kitchen and you're coming up behind somebody, you gotta scream, "Behind!" You know, and I'm sure some of you, as locals, work in restaurants and can relate to this, or, you know, when you're reaching across the line, you gotta say, "Reaching!" You know, or when you're coming up behind somebody with a hot pot, you gotta go, "Hot behind!" And you know when you get used to a certain kind of dialogue and it's really hard to drop it in a normal public environment? Yeah? No, you don't? Okay. Yeah, or like, you know, when I'm in bed with my boyfriend, I'm like, "Reaching." Hot. Behind! You know, as a chef, a lot of people ask me what happens when a customer sends their food back. You know, and I tell them, well, at a bad restaurant, you know, when somebody sends their food back, we spit in it and send it back. But at a good restaurant, you know, we remake it, we season it perfectly, then we spit in it and send it back. Around the holidays, especially, you know, people are always asking me, how do you make food fancy? Put a fucking flower on it. It's simple. I have learned a lot of useful things, though, working in a restaurant, like how to make labna. You know, labna is this Middle Eastern fermented yogurt dip, and we would make ours in-house, and it took like 5 days to make, which, you know, is a long time for a yogurt dip. And it would always be my job. So at the end of 5 days, I'd stand there, and I'd stack a few strainers on top of each other, I'd line it with cheesecloth, and I'd sift through it with a ladle for an hour and a half. Yeah. It'd be spritzing all over the place. All the dudes I worked with would come up to me and they'd ask, how's it coming? I hate labna. My boyfriend loves it. Thank you guys. You have been such an amazing audience.